to this episode of The Process. I'm your host, Crystal Jones. This is an affiliation of A Voice in the Mountains. On this episode of The Process, we're going to be talking to a local tattoo artist about how he got into the business and all the artist process that he goes through in creating his works of art. Today we're pleased to have with us Clinton Moore, and he is from Asylum Tattoos in Jackson, Kentucky. Hello, Clinton. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. We want to talk to you a little bit today about the art of tattooing, and you do this for a profession. A lot of people find that to be an interesting profession. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, how did you get into tattooing, Clint?
Well, it was kind of a long process. I started out drawing when I was a really young kid. Then everybody told me I should do tattoos, and they told me that for years. And then one day I just had the opportunity to be able to do it, and I jumped on it.
That's awesome. So as a kid, what were some of the things that you liked to draw when you started out? What were some of your early influences?
I started out when I was really young drawing like anime characters, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon. Kind of feel old because I remember when all those came out. But just stuff like that, simple stuff, cartoons, Looney Tunes, just pretty much anything I saw on TV or a card or anything like that. Okay.
And were you using, what kind of medium were you into back then? Just a lot of pencil and paper?
Yeah,
or?
Pretty much just old pencil and paper. I mean, it was probably wasn't even sketch paper. Most of it was like the lined notebook paper, like the loose leaf paper. Like I didn't have no sketch paper or anything like that.
How that works, I know.
It was just cheap, 50 cents for 100 pieces at the dollar store paper.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing fancy.
Yeah, hey, whatever works. Any resource is great when you're looking to express yourself. It's handy to just have a good old number 2 and a lined sheet of paper around.
And I still use it today, so I mean,
Oh, there you go, yeah.
I still use it.
So where is some of your favorite places to create? Like, where's your perfect creative environment?
Probably, I mean, I do a lot of work here, a lot of drawing here at the shop. But also, probably some of my best work that I've ever made is probably at home. Middle of the night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, sketch pad or my iPad or whatever, just alone in the dark, quiet, where you can think and just take as much time as you need, rework it 4 or 5 times, change things without any distractions.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a night owl too, so I mean, it may be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be drawing some stupid picture.
Yeah. And now you mentioned when you were younger, it was an over 2 pencil and some notebook paper, and you just mentioned an iPad and a few other things. So how has rather the change of technology enabled you to express yourself more with your form of art? Because tattooing is something that you see a lot of people, when you see them in demonstrations, they're using that iPad. So can you explain a little bit about how that works? How that actually goes from being something on your iPad to a tattoo on someone's skin?
So with an iPad, there's lots of different apps that you can use. The one I use is Procreate, which is only for the iPad with the Apple Pencil. So I mean, you can draw on the iPad with the pencil. And there's a lot of things that you can do on that you can't do on paper. But there's also, it's got its goods and its bads. It's a learning curve for sure. It's nothing like drawing on paper. But you can have different brushes and different stamps and different things like that to play with a certain picture. You can change it really fast, really quick. So it is good in that sense.
So you say it's a good investment rather than having to buy all these different brushes and pencils and stuff. You can get the iPad.
It's a great investment. I couldn't do what I do now without it. I mean, I could, but it would be a lot more time consuming. If you wanted this tattoo, and then I would have to draw it on paper, and it just takes forever. But the iPad is super quick and it's easy. And once I get done, because there's layers of a picture, and sometimes I may have 30 or 40 layers in that picture. And when I get done, I can just print off the outline of the picture to stencil it. Okay. And instead of having a piece of paper that's been colored and drawn, and it's just
All right, and for those of you who don't know, I actually got my first tattoo just a year ago, and it's smaller. But anyway, I didn't actually know. Like, I was under the impression that when you got a tattoo, someone was just going to freehand something on you. So it was neat to see the impressions. Right. And back here on the wall, I don't know if the camera can get them in shot right now, but we will have some shots up of that later. He's got some outlines. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you draw this concept on your iPad or in your notebook or what have you, and then okay, let's do iPad first. If you do it on iPad, you said you print it out. Mm-hmm. Does it come out on a certain kind of paper?
Just regular printer paper. You can print the outline out, just regular printer paper. Mm-hmm. There's another paper, which is stencil paper. It's a carbon layered film. You can just lay your paper on that, trace your lines, and the carbon will actually come off on the back of the paper, and that is what you put on the skin.
And that's the purple outline that people will see before you
purple or blue. Okay. Most of it's purple, though.
Okay. And then you begin from there, and then you work in your color and your shading and so forth. Yeah. Now, if you started with a concept on notebook paper, is it the same process, basically? You would trace it over to the transfer paper and then onto the skin. Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting to know, just for those of you who are wondering how it actually works. If you've never had a tattoo, this is what you'd be kind of going through the process of yourself if you were getting one.
The stencil, like, you can hand stencil it. Like, you can take that piece of paper, lay it on your stencil paper, and trace out each individual line. Mm-hmm. They also make a machine called a thermal copier that you can run both pieces through, and it does it for you like instantly. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But there's a different couple ways, but the concept's still the same.
Okay, and let's talk about some of the tools that you use as an artist in tattooing. What are some of the basic tools that a person would need to get started if they were interested in doing this?
Well, if you're learning, you're going to need, obviously, a tattoo machine, power supply, which is what gives the machine the power, needles, ink, stencil primer. There's a lot of stuff that it takes to do one tattoo. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other stuff that you have to have, like ink cups, paper towels, Vaseline, ointments. There's a lot of stuff.
And tattooing is an art form that does require a license, right? So can you talk a little bit about that? What a person would expect to be required of them were they going into business? Yeah,
there's everything's through the health department. You have to have an artistry license. You have to have a parlor permit. You have to have city license, business license. You have to have county business license. You have to have liability insurance. Mm-hmm. It's expensive. Okay. It's really expensive.
So that leads me to the question, with all the learning and all the education and all the experience and all the tools and time and investment, why tattooing? Why do you choose, of all the different kinds of art, why was it tattooing that made you decide on this?
Tattooing is an expression of a person. It's kind of hard to explain. For an example, if I see a tattoo on someone else, 8 out of 10 times I can almost guess who did that tattoo, just from knowing all the local artists and surrounding counties and stuff, because everybody's got their own flair. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own style. Mm-hmm. And that was just kind of my thing. I wanted to do my own thing. And I like to work for myself. I don't like a 9 to 5. Yeah. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but...
No, that's a thing with a lot of creative types, is that the 9 to 5 grind just isn't pleasing.
It's not for me. I've done it my entire life. Yeah. I'm 31 years old. And I just realized one day that it wasn't for me. I mean, not whenever I can do what I love to do and make as much or more money than a 9 to 5, and I can work on my own time. Yeah. I can come into work at 12, or I can come into work at 3, or I can just not come in at all, if I don't want to, which that's never the case. But it's just the freedom of being able to do what you want. but it's not as good as it sounds. Because when you run your own business,
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot more work than a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of freedom and there's a lot of perks to it too. But
So what would you say is the driving factor for choosing to do that's essentially, like we said, it's more work, but it is because it's something that you'd feel like you're passionate about, that you feel satisfied when you leave here at night and turn out the lights, you feel good about a day's work?
Right. Well, yeah. Like with tattooing, a lot of people get tattoos that are sentimental tattoos. For a loved one that's passed away or a pet, or they get tattoos for their kids or a family member or something like that. If you're flipping a burger at McDonald's, I mean, are you happy that you made that burger that day? I mean, not really. But if you come in and you get a tattoo for your grandparent that passed away, when I get done and you start crying when I'm finished with it, then I know that I've done something that made somebody's day better.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just kind of get a sense of accomplishment out of that.
Right, and art being the expression of human emotion and human feeling.
You feel like you feel like you have a purpose to that person. And not only that, there's other things. You kind of get to make your own art piece. You get to make your own drawing that nobody's never seen before.
Right, you have creative control in your business as well.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. Wonderful. So what are you working on next? What are some plans you have for the future for yourself and your business?
Well, hopefully we keep growing. Hopefully we get bigger, keep doing more work. Hopefully the economy picks up a little bit. The COVID and stuff kind of got everything dampened down a little bit. I just had a Friday the 13th sale last week, which was a major success. I had more people messaging me than what I could do.
That's great.
So I'm thinking about maybe here in a day or two having another one, just for like a customer appreciation for all the people that I couldn't get in, maybe giving them a chance to get the same deal that I offered that day that I just couldn't get to them. I'm one person. I can only do so many in a day. Sure. And I think I did almost 20 that day.
That's really
It was a rough day.
Wow. So if someone wanted to reach out to Asylum Tattoos, how could they do that? What's the best way to book an appointment with you?
Probably the best way would be to find me on Facebook, just Asylum Tattoo on Facebook. Or they can find my personal page, which is Clinton Moore. Shoot me a message on either one of those. My phone number's on there. They can call me on the phone or shoot me a text message. Those are the easiest ways.
Okay.
The fastest ways.
Now, as a tattoo artist, you of course have tattoos of your own. Would you like to talk about a few of your pieces that are visible here?
Yeah.
And have you ever tattooed yourself?
I have.
Okay.
I have, and it's horrible.
Was it something you wouldn't advise?
No.
Okay.
I do not recommend tattooing yourself for a couple reasons. The first reason being it hurts. The second reason being it's really hard to concentrate and focus when you're in pain. And they never turn out like you want them to. A lot of people that are getting into tattooing, I know that they don't have anybody else to tattoo, which was my case. So
what's some advice for that? Somebody who is just starting out, they're just kind of getting their money and their skills together, and what would be if you were to give somebody number one thing anybody should do that wants to start this business? What would be that advice?
Make friends with somebody that tattoos in a shop.
Now, for people who are interested, are there such things as apprenticeships, internships, and things like that, shadowing? How would you get the experience in a shop or with someone if you wanted to see at that level how it works?
It's not easy. I'm going to put that out there first. It's not easy at all. Most shops don't have time. They don't care.
Right.
The best advice I could give on that is just find a shop that you really like. You like all the artists there. You like the work that you've seen come out of that shop. And the best advice is just hound the far out of them. Just aggravate them until they're blue in the face and don't take no for an answer. It may take you a year or two. It may take you a long time, but eventually they're going to get to the point that they're like, well, okay, this person's dedicated. They really want to do it. Let's give them a chance. Let them hang out.
Awesome. Yeah, so like most art forms, tattooing is no different than when it comes to the fact that there's a lot of perseverance and a lot of practice that will go into this art form for sure. Definitely a lot of practice.
Yes.
Okay, so we, we talked a little bit about how they can book with you, and then we were going to look at some of your tattoos. So you want to talk about a few of your pieces and where they came from, what they mean to you?
Well, I'm trying to think. This one on my wrist, that's the first tattoo that I ever put into human skin, which was mine. It's just a star. Everybody's got them. It was cool back in the late 90s.
The nautical star, yeah.
That's the first tattoo I ever put in skin, with an old cheap eBay tattoo kit for like $50, and it was horrible. Don't buy those.
All right, since you brought that up, let's mention that real quick. Resources. If someone is into this, where is a good place that they can get quality but inexpensive tools and materials to get started with?
Well, in the tattoo world, those two words don't go together.
Okay, fair enough.
Quality and inexpensive never happens. If it's quality, it's expensive.
Right.
You know, if it's inexpensive, I mean, in the tattoo world, really what you pay for is what you get.
What would you recommend starting out with no less than, you know?
I would try, if I was going to buy a tattoo machine just starting out, I would try to spend at least a couple $100 on it.
Okay.
That's still cheap.
But that's where you start to see the quality come in.
That's kind of where you can get some consistency out of the machine, you know. You know, the machines that I use are, you know, they cost a lot more than that. But the quality's there. The consistency in each line, each tattoo, you know. So just, if you want to get into it, the best thing to do, like I said, is find a shop, see what those guys are using, try to get something in that range.
Okay.
But my tattoos are, I've got lots of different ones. I've got my first one. I mean, this one, I've had this one for years. A guy in Richmond gave me this. It's a woman. She's half devil, half angel. It's kind of a symbol of like, no matter how good you are, you've always done something wrong. Then this is the tattoo machine, a pencil, just because I do tattoos and I draw and stuff like that.
Now, are any of these of your own design that you have on yourself?
I do have some, not these, but I do have some that are on my legs up here that I drew myself. But these are not my designs. They've been altered a little bit from the original design to make them different.
Yeah.
Because you don't really want to take somebody's tattoo and just, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to duplicate it. Yeah. But no, I didn't draw these. The only one I drew was this one, and it was horrible. Research your artist before you go to them.
We were talking to, you have some here in the studio, we'll have some photos of this up to accompany the video later, but he has work around the studio walls of some of his earlier work, and you were talking about your progress from then till now.
Yeah.
What do you feel like, what do you feel like has been the area? Is it like shading or the line work? What do you feel like you've made the most improvements in? What are you most proud of yourself for doing?
That's a hard question. Probably in as far as tattooing, a lot of my clients, they compliment the line work that I do. I don't feel that way about it, but all the clients do. So I feel like my biggest accomplishment, which was by accident, and I didn't intentionally do it, is like my watercolor pieces.
Okay.
I didn't like study that more than one other, you know. I didn't intentionally want my watercolor tattoos to be better than everything else. It just kind of happened that way. But most of my clients, they compliment the line work first. Seems like.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't feel that way. But
I think artists do tend to feel indifferent about their own work when they look at it. They see something completely and utterly different than when an objective or someone else outside looks at it, for sure.
Well, most tattoo artists, most good tattoo artists, are really hard on themselves. every tattoo that I've done, all these that are hanging in here that I've done, in the past, I can look at them now and see little stuff that I wish I would have done different, and I learn from those.
Right.
I learn from each piece that I do, whether it's a small piece, a big piece, an hour or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from every single piece. And that's how you progress. You take that knowledge from this tattoo today, you remember it, and the one you do tomorrow, you improve on what you did yesterday.
Absolutely.
That's how each piece gets better.
That's the process.
That is the process.
Awesome. Full circle today, guys. Okay, so we always like to ask people to recommend another artist or someone else in the community that they feel like is contributing to supporting or resourcing local artists. Is there anyone that comes to mind that you'd like to give a shout out to today?
Absolutely. I have got some good friends that do video and photo at Fat Cave Studios.
Mm-hmm. Heard of
They did a video for me here the other day that turned out just amazing. It was great. I loved it.
Where can we see that? Is that up on your Facebook?
I've got, the video's up on my Facebook. You can find them on Facebook too at Fat Cave Studios. Okay. If you want some type of commercial made or video made or anything of that nature, they do some awesome effects in videos, and they do really good work. And they do a lot for the community too. They've done a lot of videos and commercials for other small locally owned businesses, which is great.
Yeah.
And they're really professional too. They do great work.
Oh, awesome. Well, we're always glad to share and share alike in the artist community, especially in small places like Eastern Kentucky. So we have had a wonderful time here talking to Clint Moore today of Asylum Tattoos in Jackson, Kentucky. Thank you so much for inviting us into your beautiful studio here. Give him a call. Check them out on Facebook. Look up their hours and check out that video by Fat Cave for the guys, because it's a really unique look at the inside of the studio here, what Clint's got going on in some of his work. And again, this is Clint Moore, and I'm your host, Crystal Jones, and thank you for joining us on this segment of The Process.